Hello and welcome to the Kinetic Knitter podcast. This is episode 4. My name is Kara and I am the dyer behind the Kinetic Knitter yarns. If you're new here, this podcast is new. I'm still getting my feet under me and figuring out how this is all gonna look and flow and all of that. So anyway, I hope you enjoy the episode regardless of the mess that it might be. I'm also going to be enjoying some coffee I got while I was out running errands, so please pardon any sip interruptions. It's a really chilly day in Minnesota. We finally have cold weather, so I'm taking full advantage of that. My heat just kicked on. I really hope it's not loud and distracting. So, I haven't been able to record in a few weeks because life has been really busy with, unfortunately, not super fun stuff. Yeah, maybe I'll get into some of that later, but regardless, we're here today to talk about recently finished objects and some new things or other things that I'm working on. Yeah, so why don't we just get into it with the elephant in the room, which is what I am wearing. This is my just finished ends weaved in this morning, totally tubular turtleneck. That's a tongue twister, by Park Williams, so Park Knit on Instagram. And I knit it with the yarn that's called for. Let me see if I can stand back further here. I know it's black, so I apologize for the difficulty to see it. But it's got extra long sleeves. And the yarn is Wonderfluff by Knit Picks. It's a like a blown yarn, so it's bulky weight, very lightweight, like incredibly lightweight, and a little bit cropped, so it's perfect for high-waisted jeans. But it is warm, so I'm a little warm right now. I don't even know that I need to have my heat at 69 right now because this is warm. So that's what I'm wearing. Very soft, very lovely fabric. Definitely recommend the pattern. Knit up pretty quick. I think I did it in like 3 weeks. I think if I had less going on in my personal life, I would have been able to knit it even faster. But yeah, highly recommend. Great pattern. I love it. I can't wait to continue wearing it this winter. So that is my first finished object. And then I will show you my next finished object. This stuff makes me so happy. I hope I don't get shaky because I got half calf, which I usually get decaf, but I had a little headache and I thought maybe if I got half calf, it would help with the headache. So I'm also nervous about focus. I'm still finding my way with this new camera, and man, I had a whole episode last time I filmed that was blurry the entire time. So I'm terrified of that ever happening again. So if I keep checking the viewfinder, that's why. All right, next finished object. I totally forgot to block these, but I weaved in the ends this morning, and these are socks I made. If you've seen the earlier episodes, you would have seen these before. But I just kind of piecemealed a few patterns together, like inspired by Andrea Mowry's everyday socks, her DRK everyday socks with the ribbing, except for her pattern just says to do ribbing all around, but I did just plain stockinette on the bottom because, I don't know, I just liked it better, and I also like the break of being able to just knit stockinette instead of have to do 2 entire socks in a complete rib. And then what's fun about these is for the heel, I did what's called as a strong heel, and I put the YouTube video I used in the show notes, so you can learn how to do that yourself. This is for cuff down. If I would have done toe up, I would have done a Flegel heel. It's the same. It's like literally the same. I don't even know, maybe it just has 2 names, or maybe it's because it was top down instead of cuff, or top down instead of toe up, but yeah, it's a great heel. So those are finished, and then this is yarn by Fantasy Fiber Co. Fantasy Fibers Company. I have to look at the name of it because it's a long one. It is, colorway is Major Arcana and the Emperor, and the base is her Enemies to Lovers Fingering Weight base. And I'm pretty sure it's the same as my plush sock base, which is an 8515 merino nylon. So yeah, I love them, and I'll have to block them and get pictures so they look really nice. But here they are. Oh, and this little accent at the top, I did that with a tutorial by the Crazy Sock Lady, Litton. I just think it's a cute little pop. Instead of doing a full thick cuff, you can just do a little pop of color, and that's fun. So that's that finished object. And then I have one more finished object that I actually was thinking about wearing in case I was too warm. And maybe I should have, because I'm warm. So I'll show you that next. This you would have seen before if you've watched earlier episodes. This is the Kinsan Tee, or Kinsan. Oh, I forgot to grab the book. I was going to show you the book, but it's a book called Moon and Turtle, and maybe I'll put a picture in here if I can remember. And then the pattern, let's see, oh gosh, I forgot to write all the things down. Why did I do this to myself? I'm going to get the book. Okay, so here's the book that this pattern is from. It's called Moon and Turtle. And then the pattern, like I said, was Kinsan. The book is by Kiyomi and Sachiko Burgin. Let me just find it really quick in here. So the one I made, I followed the sizing and everything for this short sleeve one. Is it focusing? But this sweater pattern t-shirt was a journey. A true journey, because I'll just show it to you now. I ran out of the main color when I was on the bottom ribbing. First, let me just show you. Gotta learn to stop talking. So it's not really cropped, I think, but I can tuck it into pants if I want to. Yeah, so it's a tee. So I will say when I got to the bottom ribbing, I could tell I was running very low on the main color, this gray color. It's called Carbon, and it's by a Swedish yarn company called Mellamia. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Anyway, I could tell I was getting close to the end, so I broke the yarn and I quit, and then I moved on to do the sleeves, so I could make sure I could get the sleeves done, because I just really didn't want to have to order one ball, a 50-gram ball of yarn to finish this. So I was like, I'm just gonna mod what I can to get the most out of it. So I knit one sleeve, and it's like an inch shorter than the pattern called for. And then I moved on to the second sleeve, and then I really did not have a lot of yarn left. So I was like, what am I gonna do? So then I decided to do the collar, or look at doing the collar next. And I didn't have enough for the neck. So the pattern actually does not call for this striping in the collar, but I was like, what am I gonna do? I didn't want to stop the collar after like 3 rows of ribbing. So I decided to mod it, and I added the white and black stripe instead of ending it short. Yeah. I actually think it's a cute design element, unintentional design element, so I'm not too upset about it. I would have liked to have just a gray collar, but it's totally fine. It ended up looking kind of cool. And then the bottom, I ended up not having enough yarn to bind off, so I actually had to tink back an entire round so I could use that round of yarn to bind off. But of course, a bind off takes more than a standard ribbed round of knitting. So then I ran out with like this much left to bind off. I'm telling you, this shirt was just, wow, a lot of problems. So thankfully I had like a scrap yay long that I was able to use to finish my bind off. So there were a painful amount of ends to weave in, but I finally got it done. And so I am really happy with the finish, and maybe I'll wear it on the next episode so you can see it on, or I'll pop a picture if I get a picture before I upload this. But I do really like it. It's fitted. I knit a size 2, which honestly I probably should have knit a size 3, but I knit a size 2 and I like it, and I'll just tuck it into high-waisted jeans and wear it with like a black cardigan or something for the winter until summer. So those are all of my finished objects that I have to share. I don't want to forget about my coffee, I'll be sad. Okay, so what was I gonna show you next? Let's see here, I've got my iPad telling me. Last time, if you watched the last episode, I had talked about casting on for Stephen West's Mystery Knit Along, and I did, and I didn't even finish Clue 1 before I just lost interest because I didn't like my color choices. I was doing where it just kind of like bursts out, you know, color to color, so it's just like one round of one color, one round of another color. That's the pattern or modification, or no, I think that's how Stephen West designed it to be the go forward after the change in the first Clue. So I was following what his suggested way to do it was, but I just didn't like my color choices, and I agonized over them, and then I didn't like them. So as the weeks have progressed, I've looked ahead to see what the finished clues look like, and I do really like the kind of geographic, is that the word? I know it's a geo-gradient, but anyway, let's just say that. I really like the way the geo-gradient looks. It's very eye-catching, but I think my colors made me unhappy, and the idea of starting over right now feels not fun. So maybe someday I'll cast it on and redo it with different colors, but right now, not in love with the colors I chose. I knew that this wasn't going to be a good idea for me to do this MCAL because I don't know, I'm not into big shawls. I don't like following anybody else's rules as far as when I need to do something by, so I don't know why I thought it would be a good idea to try it, but I did. Anyway, I failed right away. So next we're gonna move on from that because there's nothing else to say. The next I'll talk about my whips. Whips. Okay. So, part of my not great last couple of weeks is that a really close friend of my family passed away. And it's just been really hard dealing with that and really sad. And my mom was in town for other reasons, but we ended up going to visit our friend's sister while my mom was in town. So we did that, and she had mentioned she would love some handmade socks by me, and she made a joke that she'd just put them on her feet and shuffle through the house, and then she wouldn't have to sweep her floors anymore. So that made me think I should make her something really cozy and fluffy and just slippery and nice to wear around the house. So I cast on some socks, and I decided to knit with a skein of Boucle, and I don't carry Boucle in the shop, and I honestly don't know that I will, but I had a sample skein. I wanted to try it out, and so I did. I dyed it. I ended up creating a new colorway I'm calling Chimney with it. So here it is. It's called Chimney. It's like a deep brick red, which is why I called it Chimney. Looks a little orangey on camera, but it leans a little more red than orange. And the sock pattern I found is free on Ravelry, and it's called, what's it called? Joybringers Socks by Chloe Rip. And then I just found some scraps I had of an old colorway I used to dye called On the Road, and started making these socks. So the ribbing is the On the Road on my plush DK base. And then the main fabric is Chimney on Boucle. Focusing. It's getting pretty blown out here because I have artificial light because it's very gloomy outside, but I'm ready to start the heel. So I think these will be very fuzzy and cozy and perfect for, you know, just her to wear around her house. Yeah. But what I really wanted to say about this Boucle base is I don't like knitting with it. I really don't enjoy knitting with it. You know, like a merino, any kind of like springy wool yarn will have, I'm terrified this is not focusing. It really doesn't look like it's focusing on me. We'll have, what am I trying to say? Oh, like it's more springy when you're knitting with it. It's you know, it's pliable, it moves, it flows on your needles. This Boucle does not flow on the needles. It's very tight feeling when I'm knitting with it, and the needles tend to get kind of caught in those little loops and fibers. So I'm not really enjoying knitting with it, if I'm perfectly honest. And for me, if I don't enjoy knitting with something, I don't know if I want to carry it in my shop. Yeah, so TBD. I feel like this might be one of those situations like Slub where it's really big for a minute and then it kind of phases out. So I don't know. Those are my feelings on Boucle. Maybe controversial. So that's one of my whips. And then I have another whip. It's a sock whip again. This one I might have already shown either on Instagram or on here. I can't remember. But I had to rip it all out and start over because it didn't fit my foot. I was knitting it on 9-inch circulars, so like the really small circumference needles. And I think I was using a size 0, assuming that my gauge would be looser, but I was very wrong. I think it might have actually been tighter, so I could not get the sock over my heel. So I ripped out, and now I'm using a larger 9-inch circular for the main part of it, but now that I'm on the heel, I switched to Magic Loop for the heel. But I love these so far. I'm just using my colorway Platinum for the main color, the heel, the cuff. And then I'm using an Explorer Knits and Fibers, is it focused? Mini skein set. And I love it. I'm obsessed. It's so gorgeous. And then I'm just doing kind of vanilla socks, but I am following the style that Litton of the Crazy Sock Lady and Molly of a Homespun House have done their socks in, where you just do, basically the pattern is knit your cuff with your main color, and then you do 4 rounds of a contrast color, 2 colors main color, 4 rounds, or 2 rounds main color, then 4 rounds contrast color, 2 rounds main color, switch your contrast color, and repeat all the way down. Then I'll do my heel in all the Platinum colorway. And then once I finish that, I'll repeat these stripes. So yeah, I think it'll be really fun. And then I'll do the toe in the same color. These bold colors really remind me of like a bold marker box, like Crayola markers. That was my favorite set. So anyway, that's what I'm doing. Yeah. And this is just the first sock. I don't have the second sock cast on yet. So that's a good one, a fun one. Once I get past the heel, I'll be able to use it as my on-the-go project again. You know, knitting heels is the worst part of socks for me, and so the fact that both of my sock projects are at the heel right now, I don't love that. Okay, another sip of coffee before it gets cold. You all may not be familiar with Caribou, but definitely not sponsored. It's my favorite local coffee chain. Like I prefer it to Starbucks, but that's probably because I like sweets and treats, and it's very sweet coffee. Starbucks isn't quite as sweet. So anyway, that's what I'm drinking. Do I have any other whips? Let me look and just make sure. No, that's really it. I am contemplating my next cast on. I do have a few other sweaters to finish up that I haven't shown on this podcast because they've been on my needles for so long. And I don't know if I'm ready to start a whole other sweater, but there is a tank pattern that I want in it. So I might, I don't know. I'll let you know when I decide if I'm going to do that, but it's called the Juno top. And I saw Reshma of Hello Lavender made one and I loved her. So I kind of want to make one. So that's on my list. Yeah, so that is all the whips, all the finished items. So now I will tell you some shop news. One exciting thing that just happened was I sent yarn to the Crazy Sock Lady. If you've never watched her podcast, I've been watching it for a few years. She so kindly will share other, like, dyers. She's not a dyer, so not other dyers, but she'll share yarn by dyers. People will just reach out to her and send her some yarn. So that's what I did. I finally did that. And I had planned to have all of the sock sets that I sent to her available in my shop for order. But just a whole bunch of things happened that made that kind of impossible. So unfortunately, I don't have everything in the shop just this second, but I will soon. So I sent her 3 different sock sets. One of them was the Heartbreaker sock set, which I do happen to have. 2 more sets left in my shop on Twisted Sock, so not the same base she has, but on Twisted Sock, and it gets really blown out in this light for sure. But it's like I've shown it before on here, so if you watch the other episodes, you're probably familiar. But like I said, 2 of these as of this moment on Saturday available in the shop. Saturday, October something, 29, 28. Yeah, it's really fun. It's like a hot pink with some poppy red and some magenta, and then the mini is like this really rich fuchsia purple. So that's, like I said, 2 of those left in the shop. I also sent her a colorway called Mystique, and that's one of the colorways she's giving away. Same with Heartbreaker. Did I say that was called Heartbreaker? The one I just showed you is called Heartbreaker. So then I also have Mystique. I'll have 3 single skeins of these, no sock sets at the moment, because unfortunately my supplier is out of their mini skeins in this base, probably because it is, you know, Advent season, so everybody is buying up those minis to dye them for your Advents. So I can't get my hands on one right now, so I'll just list the few skeins that I have, single skeins in the shop, and maybe you have a mini lying around your house, or some leftover sock yarn that you can use as your contrast color. So that's Mystique. And then right now I have 2 Misfit skeins of sugar cookies that I'll be putting in the shop. And this is on the base that Kay has. Again, getting a little blown out, but the reason these are Misfits is because I got a little heavy-handed with the dye, so like it shouldn't have this intense of coloring in some of these. Like it just, some of the colors I just really went a little ham on. So these ones I'm going to sell as Misfits because they don't feel similar enough. Like if somebody wanted to use them in one project, I think it'd be obvious the difference between the skeins. But on that note, I did dye some more last night on Twisted Sock, since I don't have minis for the plush sock base right now. So soon I will have sugar cookies in the shop on Twisted Sock with a matching mini, like the ones that Kay has. That's the socks that she chose to keep for herself. So a few people have reached out asking if they can buy it from me, and so the answer is yes, just not quite yet. Next week for sure. I just need some good daylight. Like I haven't been able to put these in the shop because I have no good daylight to take photographs, and I only like to photograph yarn in natural light. I do not like to photograph with artificial light because I just don't think it shows the colors accurately. I honestly, if this whole video is blurry, I'm gonna upload it blurry. I'm just gonna be so mad. The screen that I'm looking at is really tiny, so it's hard to tell. Okay, so shop news, what else? I'm finishing up the fall pre-order tonight. I'll be dyeing the last colorway. And then I'll be processing it all. By that I mean winding it, scanning it, labeling it, I think I'm gonna take a photograph of it all together too, because I just like to do that, and then I'll start shipping it. So in the next week to 10 days, all those fall pre-order skeins should be out the door. There are a couple that I might have to redo some skeins if, like I showed you with sugar cookies a minute ago, if something went wrong and they got too saturated in an area or something. I'll do all my quality control and then, you know, redo any skeins that need to be redone before I finish that up. So coming soon. Other shop news, I put out or actually in the vein of sugar cookies, I would like to add a couple of other colors that I consider more holiday colors to the shop as well, just so you have some options for holiday knitting, whether it be for actual holidays like Thanksgiving, Christmas, whatever you celebrate, or like New Year's, anything like that, those wintry vibes. I want to offer some things for you. So I'm hoping to dye up some more wintry colors, but then also I'd like to offer a New Year's mystery sock set. I put a poll up on Instagram the other day and there was a pretty good response that people were interested in having that. So I think I will put something together like that. It'll just be a sock set, very simple, no frills, no add-ons, so we can keep it affordable and you can just have a surprise mystery sock set to open on New Year's Day. And you know, I was wondering too if I should offer a non-sock set option. Maybe you just want a single skein of sock yarn and you don't want the mini. If that's something you want, let me know in the comments, because I want to make sure people have something that's affordable and accessible to them, if that's something they're interested in. So let me know. What else? I feel like there's more that I'm forgetting. Oh yes, okay, so actually, let me transition to this because I forgot. Since I don't have any yarn acquisitions this week, I just haven't bought anything new, which is great. I don't need to be buying more yarn right now. I have so much to knit through. So I didn't buy anything new, but that means I want to share a knitting tool that I have and frequently use. So I am an affiliate with Twice Sheared Sheep. They offer a variety of really helpful, useful knitting tools. So any purchases you make, I get a small percentage kickback from them for it. And I do have a link for them in my Instagram bio, and then I will also add a link to this YouTube video in the show notes. But so they sent me this tin a while back. It's a cute little tin that I just kind of keep some of the tools from them in. And so here's the tin. It's not all, oops, I knew that was gonna happen. It's not all Twice Sheared Sheep tools in here, but it's some. But the tool I really wanna share with you today is their row counter, because it's just so clever. Here it is. It's gonna be hard to show, I think. Getting blown out, but it's got all the numbers, and then it's a cute little cat charm at the bottom there. Ooh. I'm trying here, I'm trying. So anyway, you get the gist. It's got all these numbers, so for whatever row you're on. So I'm on row 1, row 2, row 3, you'll put it on whatever circle for the row you're on. Oh my goodness, this is infuriating, y'all. Anyway, so you put it on the circle indicating the number you're on. And then it also has this little removable piece that you can use, and you just attach it. Oh my goodness. You attach this little removable piece to, I can't form my thoughts. I'm sorry that this is all over the place, but you use this little guy and you attach it to a row to count like the 10. So let's say you're on your 60th round, you can add this to the 6, and so you'll know you're on round 60, 67, 68, 69, etc. Anyway, I use it a lot for socks when I'm counting my rounds for like the leg. If I want to have 60 rounds on each leg, that's what I'll use it for. And you just use it like you would any other stitch marker, and excuse me, it will hang from your project, and I don't find that it gets in the way. I think it's just a nice tool, and the other thing that's nice about it is you can't, I'm gonna sneeze. Excuse me. What's nice about it is you can't accidentally, you know, press your little clicker or lose what row you're on because it's like a physical object that doesn't have a clicker. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not describing that well. I just think it's less accident prone. You're not gonna put the wrong row number in as easily. Okay, that's it for yarny things. But the next thing I wanted to share, and I will put up a picture in a moment, is if you saw my first episode, you'll know my grandma that taught me to knit and crochet recently passed away. And now my grandpa, her husband, passed away 2 months after her. So it's been, like I said, a tough few months, losing those really significant people in my family. And so we just had his funeral on Monday of this week. And after the funeral, my family and I went back to my grandparents' house to kind of go through photos and things like that. And my grandpa played guitar and sang. He would always sing to my grandma. It was the sweetest thing. And I said, you know, if no one else in the family is interested in having grandpa's guitar, I would love to have it because I do play. I have since high school, and nobody else plays, so nobody else was interested in having it, and I just wanted to ensure it stayed in the family and it didn't get donated or anything like that. So I am so happy to now have my grandpa's old guitar. I don't have it out here. It needs a tune-up. It needs new strings and to be cleaned up a bit, but maybe I'll show it someday. I'm happy to have that. I do have a picture of my cousin and I holding it, so I could put that up. And then the other thing that is even more exciting, my uncle, I don't know if I've talked about him on here before, but he's a really talented artist, painter. He used to write children's books, and he was 14 years old when I was born, so I was really close to him growing up and still am as an adult. He painted my grandma this chair with 3 little yarn balls in it, and she had it hanging in her living room for as long as I can remember. I don't know what year exactly he painted it, but I was very young. I remember at Christmas I was like 8 or 9 years old, and I brought my film camera and I took a picture of it, and I still have it in an album somewhere. So I've always really admired my uncle and his artistic abilities, and that painting has always been important to me because my grandma loved it so much, and it has yarn in the chair. So anyway, when we were at their house, I noticed the painting on the wall, and I said, Uncle Ricky, what are you gonna do with this? Are you gonna take this and hang it in your house? He said, no, I don't want it. And I was like, well, it needs to go with someone. So he, in that moment, told me I could have it, and I don't want to cry. I instantly started crying because it's really a big deal to me. It's really important to me for so many reasons, because I admire him. He's so talented, and my grandma loved it, and there's yarn in the painting. Like, just, it's everything. It's everything to me. It's really, really important to me. So anyway, he wrote a book called The Wishing Chair. I don't remember if the book came before the painting or the painting came after the book. I think the painting was before the book, and that's what inspired the book. But anyway, he wrote a book called The Wishing Chair, and that's what the painting is, the wishing chair. So I will put a picture up so you can see it. Yeah, that feels really, I don't know, bittersweet. I'm so happy and proud to have that piece in my possession. And I have it right now on a shelf that I keep all of my hand knit items in and some of my yarn in, and then the Afghan my grandma made me is on top of that shelf. So it's on that shelf right now until I have a bigger home where I have a studio space to actually hang it on a gallery wall. And I'm really excited for the day that I have that. So anyway, that's the story about that. I just thought you would all enjoy it because it's very knitting related and special to me. So I think that's everything life-wise. I will say my mom was just here, as I mentioned earlier, and I made her watch the Barbie movie with me. I hadn't seen it yet. She didn't want to watch it, but I told her that was what we were watching, so we did. And we ended up really enjoying it. It was pretty funny, and I know there's a lot of hype about it, and I get bummed when there's a ton of hype about movies because I tend to be a little bit disappointed because I don't think they ever quite live up to the hype, but I did enjoy it, and I love Margot Robbie and have ever since I saw her on the show Pan Am. I don't even know if that's how you say that. I think it is Pan Am. I love her, and she's beautiful, and she's the perfect Barbie. So that was fun to watch with my mom, and she lives in Arizona, so just having her here and being able to do something nice and relaxing and fun like that was awesome. And then we also caught up together on the show, The Morning Show, with, you know, Jennifer Aniston, Reese Witherspoon, all of that on Apple TV. Love that show. I think this season is maybe the best of the 3 seasons so far, so I'm really enjoying watching that. And then I also finished watching The Fall of the House of Usher. I think last time I podcasted I had said I was looking forward to watching it, and now I finished the whole season. So I will say I didn't like it as much as I enjoyed The Haunting of Hill House and the Bly Manor ones that are by the same people, but I did enjoy it quite a bit, so that was fun to watch. I love spooky season. And then nothing new to share in the book world. I'm still reading Lessons in Chemistry. In fact, I don't know if I've read any since the last time I recorded, so that's all I really have to share about any of that. But I hope you've all had a nice transition into fall and that things are going okay in your worlds. Keep an eye out for upcoming new yarn stuff and the skeins I showed you today that will be in the shop. Yeah, I'll talk to you all soon. Bye.